Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see this variety of people coming in today. So my name is Catherine, and we are so excited to host the first ever virtual information session to teach you all and learn more about the Earth Data Analytics Professional Graduate Certificate Program that is hosted by the University of Colorado Boulder and EarthLab, which is based at CU Boulder. So a couple things to note here, we are recording this session. So if you miss anything or want to come back and watch later, we'll send out a link to everyone with the recording so you can watch it again. And also if you need closed captions, you can go to the bottom of your Zoom window and there should be a button that allows you to turn on the closed captions. So if you need that, it's there. And let's see what else. Oh, we're using Menti, which is this cool tool that we've been using for the first few minutes here. So it's this cool interactive tool that we're going to use, and there's an open Q&A button at the bottom of that screen. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can just type in your questions using that box or that button, and we'll answer all those questions at the end. There's also a thumbs up button, so if you see a question that you like and you want answered, give it a thumbs up and we'll be sure to answer those. So I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Chelsea Nagy, who is our director here at EarthLab, and she's going to give us all a welcome and tell us a bit more about EarthLab. So thanks, Chelsea.
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. This is super exciting to see so many people here. Yeah, I can't wait for you to learn more about the program and see if it's right for you. Okay, so I'm Chelsea Nagy. I'm the interim director of EarthLab at CU Boulder. And EarthLab was started in 2015 by Jennifer Balch, who's a professor at CU Boulder, and it was funded by CU Boulder's Grand Challenge Initiative. EarthLab helps move us along the pathway from data to decisions. So from the wealth of data that are available, what unique insights can we gain about our world? And how might this inform management or decision-making or policy to benefit the environment and society? EarthLab capitalizes on the sheer amount of data that are available, from satellites and drones to field data to social data, to conduct solutions-oriented science. And our expertise really lies in integrating different types of data, including new novel data sets, and then bringing in cutting-edge analytics using things like machine learning or AI. EarthLab Science focuses on topics related to global environmental change. So this might be understanding drivers like land use and climate change, and as well as the environmental responses. So things like changes in biodiversity or water quantity and quality, or biogeochemical cycles or disturbance regimes. And our group looks at both kind of historical trends in some of these drivers, as well as adaptation science to better prepare for the future. EarthLab is committed to open science and education, and we encourage our team and collaborators to make their science and education resources more open and available to all. EarthLab also specializes in interdisciplinary large team science and collaboration. And so I wanted to highlight just a couple examples of some of our past and current projects that we've worked on in large teams. So first was a study around natural hazard locations in the US to better understand where development has occurred in risk-prone areas. The second study outlined 10 simple rules for working with high-resolution remote sensing data and how to avoid common pitfalls of using these types of data. And a current project is exploring how to identify ecological tipping points across the landscape using a bunch of different remotely sensed data products. So that's kind of an overview of what EarthLab is and what it does. And yeah, I'll pass it back to Catherine. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chelsea. We really appreciate you being here and talking a little bit about EarthLab. So thanks for that awesome introduction. All right, and now we will continue to talk about the program and our education team. First, I'll introduce them all. So first we have Dr. Nathan Corder, who is our director. He's here today. He's going to talk a little bit later. And we also have Dr. Elsa Kohler, who is the education trainer and our instructor for all of our courses. And lastly, we have Nathan Kornick, who's our, or I guess I'm last. Nathan Kornick is our research associate. He's not here today, but he wants to wish you all well. And then my name is Catherine. As I said earlier, I'm the program coordinator at Earth Lab. And yeah, we're so excited that you're all here. So here's a quick agenda of the things we're going to cover today. First, I'll talk about a brief overview of the program, and then I'll pass it to Dr. Kohler, who will talk about our courses and content, as well as our capstone project. And then Nate, or Dr. Corder, is going to talk about career opportunities, and then I'll close out with how to apply to the program and the costs of the program, and we'll finish up with any questions that you all have. And so don't forget to use that Menti tool to answer or to ask any questions that you may have as we go through it. Nate, would you mind putting the Menti in there again? Thank you, in the chat. So if you're just joining us, you can go to menti.com and type in the code there. And yeah, you should see the Q&A. So let's do it. So I'm going to talk about our program overview a little bit. So we have 3 courses. There are 3 credits each for 9 credits total to finish the certificate. You have to take all 3 courses. We have our Earth Data Analytics Data Science Bootcamp course, which is offered in the fall, the Earth Analytics in Python course offered in the spring, and our Earth Analytics application class, which is offered in the summer. You have to take these courses in order because they're sequential and they all build off of each other. And we only offer 1 course per semester. So for example, if you start this fall, 2023, we'll have you take the Data Science Bootcamp course. And then in the spring, you'll take Earth Analytics Python. And in the summer, you'll take Earth Analytics Applications, which is their capstone course. Our certificate is offered entirely online. So you can take it from anywhere in the world. And you can complete the certificate in 3 semesters or 1 full academic year. So this is a fall semester, a spring, and a summer, like I mentioned before. One thing we do ask is that all of our students complete the certificate or all 3 courses within 3 years of being admitted. So if you're admitted this fall, you have 3 years to take all 3 courses to earn the certificate. And most of our students either work part-time or full-time jobs while they're taking the certificate courses. And so we find that taking 1 class per semester is a great way or great amount of work for people who are either part-time or full-time. It's relatively easy for them to keep up with the course load. And since most of our students are working, we try and keep the courses as flexible as possible so that we can accommodate people who have lives and busy jobs outside of our certificate program. So now I'm going to ask you all a question using Menti. So if you haven't joined Menti yet, you can using this code here at the top. And you can answer this question. So how much experience do you have with data science and or earth science? So that question should pop up on your screen. Yeah, and feel free to check more than one of those. Sometimes they might overlap a little bit. And it can range anywhere from none, I'm a total newbie, I don't know anything about earth science or data science, or to a ton, I'm a coding and science wizard. So yeah, I'm gonna let people answer that for a minute here. Thanks for throwing it in the chat there, Nate. Yeah, keep it going. Love to see the variety of experience levels we have. Awesome. A lot of people have scientific backgrounds. That's great. Some people are total newbies, and that's also great. Some people are wizards. We love all the above. Cool. So keep answering. If you haven't already, feel free to go ahead and answer using this code here above. It's all anonymous too, so we won't know who answered what.
Catherine, I would just chime in too that it looked like one of the questions that came in the Q&A was, is this appropriate for folks that have no background in tech? And I think you just kind of answered that question there in that you see you've got some folks in here that are total newbies or have very little background. It's perfectly okay. Yeah,
exactly. Perfectly okay. And I'm going to talk more about that here in a second. But yeah, great to see that we have a few people who consider themselves to be total newbies. So I'll go ahead and skip forward here. So everyone who just answered the certificate program is for you and for everyone else who is on the call, regardless of what your experience level is like. So if you're a recent graduate, or if you're a professional who's working in the earth or environmental science field, if you're looking to make a career change, or if you're interested in developing programming skills and data intensive science, or like I said, and like Nate said, if you're a total beginner, then the program is for you. We don't require any previous programming or coding experience to enroll and take our classes. We are also asked a lot of times if you have a coding and science background, if the program will be too easy for you. And the answer to that is no, it will not be too easy, because we find that it's very unlikely that you'll already be an expert in all of the tools that we use and all of the methods that we teach. So if you come from a more scientific or coding background, you will definitely still learn something, especially as coding and programming relates to earth and environmental data science. So you can be a beginner or a coding wizard, and you can still take our courses and learn something. Lastly, I'm going to talk about our time commitments for each of the courses. So for the bootcamp course, we require that you attend one 90-minute session once per week. And then there's some additional content that you work through at your own pace. And then there are about 3 to 5 hours of homework per week. For the spring analytics course, you meet twice per week, or 75 minutes each, with 3 to 5 hours of homework per week. And then in the summer applications course, there's 2.5 hours of class time per week. And the rest of the time is project work, where you're meeting with your group separately on your own time, and to allow you some flexible working time to get those capstone projects done. For both the spring analytics and the summer applications course, all of those class sessions are recorded, and we don't require attendance. So if you miss something, if something comes up in life, you can definitely go back and rewatch those recorded sessions later. However, in our fall bootcamp course, we do require that you attend one 90-minute session per week. And those sessions are listed online when you enroll in the course, and you can pick which one works best for you. And then you can also work with our instructor, Dr. Culler, if there are any issues that come up with that scheduling and timing. Cool. And so now I'm going to pass it to Dr. Culler, who's going to talk more about our courses and content.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much, Catherine. Just to tag on to that last bit, we are going to have a totally remote option, which will include some extra kind of writing assignments instead of those discussion assignments. But like she said, that's something to talk to us about, and we can work it out. What we do in the courses is we're really going to focus on open and reproducible science. And this is one of the reasons why when we're saying, like, even if you have a lot of experience with coding, if you don't have a lot of experience with some of these open and reproducible tools and concepts, then there's still really something that we find almost all of the students who come through our courses can pick up there about that philosophy and approach and tools. We think science is better when it's more accurate, useful, relevant, and shareable. And so that's why we really focus here at Earth Lab on the FAIR and CARE data principles, which are about accessibility and justice in data science. We really emphasize the use of open science tools so that even if you go off on your own and don't have an institution that you're affiliated with afterwards, you can still do your work, or your work can be reproduced. And then finally, on effective science communication, so that you can talk to all sorts of different audiences about what you're doing with your science. We can go to the next one. What we're working on doing is building a cohort of scientists who can really harness the Earth and environmental data revolution. Even if we just look at NASA, which is one of many space agencies around the world, that's 4 terabytes of Earth observation data every day, and it's only getting to be more. There's a bunch of research that we can point you to. I think Nate's going to put a link in the chat, that many Earth scientists have little to no practical computer programming or big data skills. 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, our scientists didn't need to have computer programming or big data skills. But these days we're leaving a lot of resources on the table if you don't have that skill set. And institutions also are not meeting this data analysis training needs. And so the program is an invitation to join the next generation of earth scientists in analyzing this incredible wealth of data that we have streaming in faster than we can possibly imagine. Okay, next slide. Right. We emphasize transferable computational skills. So we do use Python in the program. I know probably this is where a lot of questions come in if we're so used to using different tools or need different tools for a particular professional project. We use Python because what we hear from our students and our project partners is that it is the tool of choice for open earth data science. And especially as we are moving into more AI-based models, Python is becoming increasingly advantageous. That said, lots of people use other programming languages and other software tools to do earth data science. And so what we're going to teach is not just the specifics of Python, but some skills in code design, in debugging that can be applied to any tool, in reading and writing documentation, and finally in AI-assisted coding. This is a little new for us next year because a lot of these AI tools have really just popped up in the last 12 months or so. And but we are actively working to incorporate techniques in writing prompts for models like GPT to get you started with writing code and jumpstart you into your analysis as quickly as possible. We think that we're really doing you a disservice if we do not teach you how to code with these tools. And so with this whole transferable skill set, when the technology changes, you won't have to start over. And that's really important in the tech field, even in the science and technology field. Next slide. We also really hope that you guys are going to collaborate on projects. If you're not able to do it in the program, that's fine, but we hope you're going to be working for organizations later on where you have to collaborate. And we really emphasize a couple of things, clean code and version control that we think are going to help with that collaboration. So just the basics, by clean code, we really mean code that's easy to read and maintain, that's modular and documented. And version control is a tool that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, come take our certificate and you'll definitely know afterwards. But it basically allows you to keep track of all of your changes and also to test other people's work before you merge it with your own. Right. And lastly, we want to make sure that everybody who comes through our program knows how to get out your message, whatever that is. So we want you to be able to share what's important about your science with colleagues and managers and journalists, academics too, but not just academics. I know we saw a bunch of people who are PhD students in there, and all of that kind of academic style of communication is important too, but it's not, in our view, the only thing out there. And so we include a number of specific and actionable science messaging skills throughout the program in order to help you guys improve over the course of the year. So next we have another Menti thing. Your turn to tell us, what are you most excited about related to professional development in Earth data analytics? Could be about the program or things that you were hoping that we'd talk about. And we'll just leave that for a few minutes. Might take a moment for you all to come up with your responses.
Yeah, so feel free, if you are just joining us or haven't gotten on to Menti yet, go ahead and put menti.com into an open tab and you can add in this code and you should be able to answer this question. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. Cool. Wow, awesome. How's it looking, Elsa? yeah, I think you're muted, but
I sure am. Yeah, seeing a lot of excitement about kind of some of the newer methods that we're looking at. That's definitely something that we have students get into, especially in their projects. And yeah, working with large data. And I also see a lot of things in here that are about like learning fundamentals, right? Like practical tools, skills, Python, and making a difference. We love that too. So
cool. You ready to move on?
yeah, let's do it. Okay. So I was talking about kind of the themes in the curriculum part of our program, but we also have a capstone project. We've had a lot of students come through our various programs, and we hear from a lot of them and also see in a lot of them as they're collaborating that their new skills don't really click until they start working on their own projects. And that is totally expected. And that's why we dedicate 20 weeks of this program to working on an industry or academic project of your choice. So that starts towards the middle of the second class in the series. We start switching into project mode, and then the summer class is fully devoted to that. It's pretty simple. We have some activities to explore your interests, or you can also send me emails as early as when you start the program about what your interests are. And then we work to find project partners working in a similar area. And you don't have to work with one of the partners that we find. If you have someone that you want to work with, that also works great. But we do try to find a couple of projects that can be team projects that are working in an area that is of interest to students. And actually, we find that most students want to work with a partner for a variety of reasons, but one of them is that allows you to kind of meet the partner and network with your fellow students and things like that. So it can be a really valuable part of doing a team project there, if that's of interest to you. And then finally, you complete the project, and we provide computing resources, we provide technical support, we provide project management guidance. And we have on the right here some really awesome images that a couple of students from the program last year made for a project called Rhymorphous, that's all about finding out flood maps over just like really large areas of the US. And so they're working with a tool here called the Google Earth Engine, and produced these amazing images of Vicksburg, Mississippi. So yeah, that's an example. And if you want to hear more about the capstone projects this year, our current students are going to be presenting on August 22nd, which we know is very close to when the program starts, but we do invite you all to come hang out and ask them questions and hear about all of the amazing stuff that they're doing right now. I'm very excited to see where everybody gets by the end of the semester, but we have a number of really cool projects this year, including we have a project about where objects end up on the seafloor. We have a project looking at some precision agriculture applications of remote sensing, and 4 or 5 other projects. So yeah, please come and watch their work. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Nate.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Elsa. I am going to talk a little bit about some of the career opportunities and places that you can go after participating in our certificate program or taking some of the courses that we offer. And so you heard Elsa mention NASA as an example of one of the agencies that is producing like terabytes of data every day. And so, and like Elsa mentioned, NASA is just one of such agencies around the world. The point that we're trying to make here is that there is a vast amount of Earth and environmental data that is being created every day, whether these are data that are collected here on the ground or through remote sensing applications. There's a ton of data out there, and it's oftentimes difficult to come by the skill sets that you need in order to be able to work with these data. And so oftentimes the programs where you can get in to work with these kind of data or develop the skills are in very competitive or expensive places that make it difficult for a large portion of the population to develop those skills. And so that leads to, we think, and contributes to a big gap between the supply for and demand, the supply of and demand for well-trained Earth and environmental data analysts. Secondly, these types of jobs pay well and will oftentimes sit on the market longer than other jobs might, due to the fact that there just aren't enough well-trained data analysts out there. And so that's part of the motivation for coming up with a program like our Earth Data Analytics Professional Graduate Certificate Program, to help make these skills more widely available, to help begin to fill this gap and to put these kind of skills out there. Catherine, why don't you go to the next slide? So just examples of some of the places that you might be able to take these kind of skills would be, you know, a data scientist or a data analyst, a GIS or geospatial analyst or GIS developer, and then remote sensing analyst as well. These are just a few examples. We have folks that have come in and out of our programs that are working in the oil and gas sector, folks that are working in libraries and in museums as part of the Smithsonian Museum. We've had folks that have worked with local municipalities and planning. So folks that are working, for example, out in the greater Los Angeles area to come up with ways to make the way that we deliver water more efficient. And so there's just a ton of different applications, I think, that you can apply these skills to. And so that, I think, is all that I had to say in terms of, you know, some motivation for why you might want to develop these kind of skills and where you might be able to apply them when they're done. So Catherine, I think you're next again.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Nate. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about how to apply for the program, as well as our tuition costs and the overall cost of the program. So if you're interested in applying, you can go to earthlab.colorado.edu to start and navigate to this page, which is our Earth Data Analytics Professional Graduate Certificate page. It's underneath Engage too, if you get a little lost. I'm hoping someone will put this in the chat too, so we can share this link with everyone. But then you're gonna scroll down a little bit underneath application details. There's this tiny apply here button. So you're gonna click on that, and that will take you to our application online through continuing education at CU Boulder. So this is what you should see. And to get started, you want to make sure that you click on fall 2023. You don't want to do previous fall. You want to do this coming fall. And then you'll hit start application. There we go. And that will prompt you to create an account. You can use any email address, and you can also log in using a previous account if you have already started an application and want to come back. So you can always save your application, close the tab, and then come back to it and finish it later. So once you create an account, this is what you'll see. You just want to hit start new application. And then this will pull up. There's a couple different start buttons that you have to click through, but you just want to make sure that it says 2023 to 2024 CE academic year. So again, you're just making sure that you're applying for the correct year, and then hit open application. And this is what it looks like. So you'll have a couple different tabs that with information that you'll have to go through and fill out. We only ask that you bring 3 things to your application. So we want to see your unofficial transcripts, a resume or CV, and your personal statement. The only big thing that we really require is that you have a bachelor's degree, not one in progress, one that's already completed. And we'd like to see your transcripts so that we can learn a little bit more about you and your education experience in the classes you've taken. So please upload any unofficial transcripts. We don't need the official ones either. So any transcripts from your bachelor's degree, and if you have higher degrees such as a master's or PhD, we'd love to see that too. So please upload your transcripts, a resume, and lastly, your personal statement, which I will talk about more here in a second. When you get to this program details tab on the application, just make sure that you click on Earth Data Analytics Foundations for the certificate that you're applying to. The foundations term is just what continuing education calls our certificate. It's the same program, Earth Data Analytics Professional Graduate Certificate. So just make sure you're clicked on that as well as fall 2023. And then your personal statement, we just ask you to answer this question, which is, why have you chosen this particular program and how does it align with your future career goals? We left this intentionally vague because we want everyone to answer this in a way that they want. So whether you want to talk about why our program in particular, about why Earth and Environmental Data Science interests you, what kind of jobs you're interested in getting, what kind of work you're interested in doing. We just want to hear more about you and why you'd like to join us. And we only ask that you keep it below 400 words. So it's just a couple paragraphs, short and sweet is good. And finally, please submit your applications by August 8th, 2023. So it's in a little less than a month. And that will be for you to start taking the first course in August or fall 2023. So again, August 8th is the application deadline. And then lastly, I'm going to talk a little bit about the costs of our program. So these are the tuition rates for both in-state and out-of-state and international students. And you can see the rates per course and for the entirety of the certificate. Something that you should all know is that the Continuing Education Office at CU bills courses on a class-by-class basis. So you do not have to pay the entirety of the certificate cost up front, whether you're in-state, out-of-state, or international. We find that this gives a lot of flexibility to our students. So let's say you are admitted and you take the fall boot camp course and you pay for it and you decide that it's either just not for you or you would rather hold off and take the spring analytics course later on, not the immediately following spring, then you can. So you only have to worry about paying for one class at a time and not the entire certificate up front. But I think that is about it. So now we have all these questions. Nate, this thing is working, so that seems good. So please go ahead and ask any questions in the Q&A box in Menti. So again, if you haven't joined, here's the code to join our Menti. And yeah, feel free to like questions too, and we can answer them. So let's see.
Yeah.
What we got.
I can answer this one, I guess, while we're surfing through. We have, as Catherine was saying earlier, designed the curriculum so that in particular, you do not need to have any coding or Python experience. It is a steep learning curve, but we don't skip over anything for you guys. And then we usually do get people coming from both sides, like having a science background with limited coding knowledge or having quite a bit of coding knowledge, but not a lot of science background. And yeah, we sometimes get like people doing a complete career change too. And I think all of those kind of backgrounds can definitely be successful in the program. And where we try to be really available so that we can catch you up on anything that you feel like you're missing.
Cool. Thanks, Elsa. All right. Let's see. Related question.
Yeah, this is a tricky one because there's lots of different. We've had students come through even with pretty extensive Python background and struggle a little bit in the first course partially, I think, because it's the way that we teach coding and the style, and making sure that everything is documented and all of that. It's not always taught if you have a academic computer science background, or haven't done a lot of work with large teams. So I do think that there's still stuff in that bootcamp course that can be useful to someone who's experienced. But if you would like to, we do have an option for you to complete kind of the final assignment for the fall. And so we can send that out to you, and then that allows you to kind of take a look at it and see if you think you know everything already that we're presenting, and also lets us kind of verify that and avoid any kind of communication difficulties in terms of the experience level.
Great. Whoops, okay. What is your acceptance rate to the program? So I can answer that. So we aim to keep our program as accessible as possible for every person and background. We're also really lucky that environmental data science is an emerging field, and our program is still fairly young. So we try to grow our program every year. So the last couple of years, we've admitted about 85 to 90% of our applicants that have completed an application. So that is definitely the majority of people we admit. We try, like I said, the only real requirement that we have is that you have a bachelor's degree. It can be in any field, because as we've said, we are aiming the program towards people who are looking to switch careers too. So yes, 85 to 90% is usually around our acceptance rate. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Elsa, this one's for you.
Yeah, so all of our curriculum is in Python. I do have one student doing a project in JavaScript, working with the aforementioned Google Earth Engine technology right now. So it's definitely allowed for you all to branch out. When you get to the project, I would say that most students find the idea of trying another programming language for their project to be very intimidating, which I don't think it has to be, but usually we don't have people choosing to do that. And we can support you pretty well. Well, we can definitely support you with Python. We can support you pretty well with R, and also with to some extent with something like JavaScript or web programming. And otherwise, we might want you to look for a partner that has more experience in whatever language you're using.
I would also highlight what you said earlier, Elsa, is that a lot of the skills you teach are transferable. So if you learn a lot of these skills in Python and then you're hoping to learn another language as well, hopefully you've learned a thing or two from our certificate that you can apply in those other languages as well.
Yeah, yeah, we recently did a R and Python bilingualism workshop. So one of our senior scientists, Ty Tuff, at Earth Lab, said that he was just furious when he finally tried Python because it was almost exactly the same as R, and he'd been avoiding it for years. So yeah, it is really transferable.
Okay. Are all the classes pre-recorded? I guess I can start on that one. So we require attendance only for the fall bootcamp course. And by require attendance, we mean we ask that you attend one of the 90-minute sessions per week. So those are not recorded, or at least we don't plan to record those. However, if you have issues where you're not able to attend that 90-minute session every week, then you can definitely work with Elsa, Dr. Kohler here to find a good solution. But all of the other, and I guess this is pre-recorded too. So there is content in addition to what is taught in class. So the classes aren't necessarily pre-recorded, but they will be recorded live in the spring and summer. I answered that in a really roundabout way, but I hope that made sense.
Yeah, well, and I should take a break on Catherine, because we actually are, we're very excited about this. We're changing our format in the fall a little bit, and so we're all getting used to it. And And so those 90-minute sessions are really going to be more like a discussion. We're going to try to include a bunch of kind of like short readings or videos about open science and about equity, diversity and inclusion in open science and earth data science and other kinds of topics there. But we also will definitely produce some technical content for you, and those are going to be pre-recorded in the sense that I will probably not have them all recorded before the semester starts, but they will be like available to you the week where you're actually working on that particular topic.
Awesome. Thanks for the backup there. Okay. Are there any in-person class options, or are they all online? For now, they're all going to be online. I'll let Elsa chip in more there. But yeah.
Yeah, we just haven't had we did offer in-person classes and we just didn't have enough attendance for that to be worth it. And also we felt it was, as the hybrid programs sometimes do, we felt it was taking away from the remote class experience to have like one student in the classroom. However, we are on campus at CU Boulder. If you're around and you want to come to office hours in person, or you want to come meet us in person, we are totally psyched about that.
Yeah, come say hi. Okay. Is there any career services to help? That's a great question.
Yeah, and something that I've been trying to find out more about for students, CU Boulder does have some really great career services. But they're not going to be super specific in earth data science. So I think that probably more of our students will get things out of like having conversations with us about our recommendations. We have a couple of, well, I have a couple of lists of recommendations that I usually give out to students if people are curious about careers, and if we are hiring for something in that level, we would definitely send that out to our certificate students list. But it's a little bit more like a academic advisor kind of situation with the career services help that we're all happy to talk things through with people and make references if we can.
Okay. If I'm already in a PhD program, would my tuition waiver cover the cost of registration? So I'm assuming that this is a CU Boulder PhD student based on this question. And unfortunately, no, your tuition waiver would not cover the cost of your tuition. This is a separate certificate program that is held through continuing education. So it's a little different, but if you have more specific questions about that, I would recommend reaching out to us at earth.lab@colorado.edu, and I will answer your email and specific question more personally to help you get a better idea of that and what the options are.
Yeah, I was wondering if they're a PhD student at CU, would that also make them an employee at CU? In which case they would have some tuition waiver? I don't know how that would totally work, but
Nate, the tuition waiver works the same for graduate GRA students and or similarly for GRA students and for staff, and actually GRA students have a much higher tuition waiver. The trick is that we can't give the certificate to people who have taken the main campus classes for bureaucracy reasons. We do regularly have people, especially in the first two classes, who are like PhD or master's students at CU. So we do have options that we can talk about. But like Catherine says, we'll need to do that on more of a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, definitely. So just to reiterate, please email us, and I'll have the email address up here just in a little bit, and I can help answer those questions. Okay. So in a similar vein, if you are a CU Boulder employee and you're hoping to use your tuition assistance benefit, yes, you can use them. It's a little tricky though, in that we can't technically offer you the entire, like the official certificate, but we can let you take the classes in a very workaround way. As Elsa kind of said, there's a lot of bureaucracy that we have to deal with here. So please email us. That is my suggestion to you, and I can help with that. Do you want to add anything to that, Elsa?
Yeah, because we have had a couple of people go through the classes this year with the tuition waiver, and the thing I've just been saying with people, and probably that we'll work it out, but I cannot personally mentor individual projects for main campus students, which often is totally fine for like PhD students and staff, because like you all have your academic advisors and stuff, and you're working on projects, so like that usually works out. But that's the only thing. We would just ask you choose a team project with an external partner, or a individual project with a partner that you have found.
Thanks for mentioning that last bit. That's important too. So again, please email us if you are in this position and want more information. Cool. How does the program prepare you for a career change? Yeah, also it's all you.
All right, I'll jump in there. Yeah, I mean, I would say first of all that many of our students are coming in looking for a career change. Like this year, for example, we had someone who had a geography degree, but then had been teaching high school for several years and wanted to go back into something more like a science field. We had someone with like kind of an environmental studies degree who wanted to get into coding and is now, I think I mentioned in the chat, now working in using Python in a virtual reality job and looking to do other things. So the main way that we prepare you for a career change is by providing you a lot of practice with these skills that we know are really valuable on the job market in earth and environmental data science. The other way is that our students are awesome. So like you can get to know the other students in the class, and they often have like really well-established careers. So it's a great place to meet people in who are in the kind of field that you might want to be in, and get some connections there. And we have had, I know, like that people have told me about. We had a couple people reach out to other people in the class this year who were working in an area they wanted to work in. So.
Great. Okay. Would this be appropriate for a software developer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really going to depend on like what you want to do with it. So like if you're looking to like become a better web developer or something, that's not something we can help you out with a lot. But if you are already a developer and you're looking to learn more about remote sensing and how to use these different kinds of earth and environmental data types and some of the science behind that, then it's definitely a great spot. And yeah, that might be a situation where you would want to email me and see if you can breeze through that final assignment from the first semester, or if there's kind of gaps there that you want to fill in.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we are putting a couple of, like, I would call them machine learning light models in our program, and that's going to introduce you to a library called scikit-learn, which has a ton of options to explore. And the code part, I will say, is not the hard part of it. The hard part is making sure that you are like validating your model carefully and not allowing the ML to take a lot of shortcuts, which it really likes to do. And we'll talk about that a little bit. We're not going to be in the curriculum we just can't get people from no coding to building really large neural networks or other kinds of equivalently complex models in the 20 weeks that we kind of have to do the curriculum. But it's a great place to focus a project, and we usually have at least a couple of machine learning projects each year, and we have a lot of connections with people who are really good at that can help us find appropriate projects for you all. And also we are nerds about machine learning here at Earth Lab, and so we love to talk to you all about it too. Climate change data. Let's see. We do work with some data that is related to climate change. We don't have any curriculum right now on like working with the CMIT 6, if that's kind of what you're meaning by climate change data. But again, that's something that could definitely go into a really great project. We do have not on climate change data, but we do have a couple of projects this year working on downscaling data, which is one of the biggest applications of climate change data, right? We want to take these really coarse scale models and say, like, I want to know what's going to be happening in my neighborhood in Denver, which the climate models absolutely do not tell us by themselves. So yeah, it's a great project area, and something that I'm interested in, and we have contacts for as well to help you guys do a good job of that. We're associated with the Earth Lab is associated with the North Central Climate Adaptation Science Center. And so we have had folks from their mentor projects in the past who are like true experts on climate data.
Yeah, I think we have time for a couple more.
Yeah, we do a couple of activities in class, and then I ask for folks to post about their project ideas and discuss with each other. The discussion boards are an amazing part of this class. I know I've been in classes where the discussion boards are just totally dead, and so I'm always thrilled every year when the discussion boards just take off and people are discussing all of their passions. So that's what we do, and then we kind of consolidate. I try to the best of my ability to find people to mentor the project. So a little bit of it is determined by who I can find and who says yes to me. Yeah, that's how it works. And we do also have students who work with a former or current academic advisor. We have students who work with their employer or their manager. And we have like I had a student this year just reach out to a contact at a company that he thought was cool called SkyTruth, that we've tried to get projects before and it kind of fell through, and he's working with them now. So it's totally an awesome choice to go hunting for a project, and you can get lucky. So
Let's do, I think, one more, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes, we do. I spent all last year like revamping our curriculum so that you're working with a bunch of different APIs. So
Awesome.
And we know that is a deep problem with working with these data. So
All right.
Justin, I was going to mention, I know that we're up on time, but I think you've only got a couple questions left, it looked like, that might be able to get answered like pretty quick. Like, so if folks do need to drop off at the top of the hour, I would say go for it. But what if we can stick around and just do our best to answer these? I think it'll only take us a couple minutes, and we'll record this too. So if your question hasn't been answered and you need to leave, like we'll get it answered, I think.
Yeah, that we can definitely do that. I'm going to throw this email address up there, and maybe we can put it in the chat too. So if your question didn't get answered and you have to leave, feel free to email us. More than happy to answer any other questions that you have. And yeah, thanks everybody for coming. So then I'll jump back here. Do residents of New Mexico get their in-state tuition? That is a really good question. I don't know. So please email me with that one, and I will find the answer for you. So thanks for asking that. Okay.
You will not need any software licenses, because we are going to be using 100% open science tools. If you have a license for ArcGIS, you're welcome to use that for your project, although we encourage you to have at least some significant open component to your analysis so that you get practice with using the tools that you learn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did my graduate degree at Ceres. So I worked for them for 4 years, and I did not take this program, but I did have to learn a bunch of these skills that I now teach by myself. And yeah, I mean, I think that all of them could be used at some place like Ceres. In particular, the like data access skills, you know, I tell students, and I estimate that I spend about 90% of my time on any given analysis getting data downloaded and organized and wrangled and all set. And so any kind of experience that you have with that is going to be super valuable at a place like Ceres. And then hopefully also some of the remote sensing content would be useful. I would like to think that the collaboration skills that we teach also could be useful at Ceres, but it really is gonna someplace that's more academic, like the CU side of Ceres, right? NOAA's, for those who don't know Ceres, it's like 2/3 NOAA and 1/3 on the university. And so the NOAA side probably has much more robust software development, but on the academic side, it's going to really depend on what the principal investigators like to use for their tools. But my hope is that if we teach enough students about all of the amazing open science tools out there, that will kind of filter in to some of the corners of academia where they're not used so much. And for sure, if you're on the NOAA side, if you're in government, if you're in industry, then it's going to be required to use some of the tools like GitHub.com, which we use pretty extensively, and version control and all of that good stuff. So hopefully that answers that.
And I just was rambling in the chat too, as Elsa was talking. And I think she was explaining this too in a better way that I think my text did. But depending on which branch of Ceres you work in, like if you're an admin, this might help like with data management and data wrangling. If you're on the science research side of things, then you're going to find a lot of great applications in terms of finding or working with different types of climate or weather or earth and environmental data. And so I guess it sort of depends on where you work in Ceres, but I think it would be beneficial for whatever branch of the team you work on. I think you might find this helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And I have a little bit of a soapbox on this, so hopefully I won't keep you guys too long. But you know, we have this kind of system where graduate students come in and postdocs come in and they do really amazing work, and then it gets totally lost because their work isn't documented, it isn't commented, it's not available to anyone else coming after them. And so I think learning how to do some of this stuff that's, you know, it's not as maybe as exciting as like a generative AI model or something like that. But it's just super important for making sure that your work isn't lost when you leave.
Awesome. Thanks, Elsa. I think you answered that question.
For now.
For now. Would this be good for someone interested in atmospheric science?
Yeah, so we don't we don't have a lot of examples in atmospheric science. We do have some meteorology type of examples where we look at meteorological data. And so I think in terms of the science part of it, we will cover some basics of remote sensing, which definitely could be useful in atmospheric sciences. And more to the point, I think these programming and collaboration and communication skills, I think I would have loved to have that background coming into graduate school. And I was a software developer before graduate school, but I still probably could have used something more there. So I think that's going to be useful in really any kind of physical or biological earth and environmental science field. And I will tell you guys that I probably should stop saying this because people know who my advisor is. But when we were looking for undergraduate students to work for us, we did not hire from our own department because they didn't have the computation skills to be able to do our research. And so we were always hiring from computer science. And so I really do think that this is a valuable thing for someone who's going into a science field to learn.
I think you just got a couple more, Cap.
All right, let's keep it going. Yes, I can put that in the chat right now. Yes, so here is, this link is the link to join to register for the final presentations. We'd love for you to be there. Come check it out. Get a taste of what the projects are, what they're like. So yeah, go ahead and register. If you can make it, that'd be awesome. Okay. When will we be notified of acceptance? So the application closes on August 8th. I would say within a week, anytime between now and a week after that application closes. Likely sooner than that. We read through the applications as they come in. So we'll get to yours shortly if you have already submitted it. All right. What is the completion or graduation rate from the program? Elsa, I think it's probably over 2/3. What do you think?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think it's probably 75% or so. And Elsa, you should jump in too. But I think going back to the beginning of the program, back to 2017, 2018, I'd say about 75% or so of the folks that start the boot camp go all the way through to complete the certificate. Some folks never have the intention of going all the way through, but we have a little bit of attrition, but it's not high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's and that 3 years point, we encourage you to remember about that too, because a lot of you all are professionals and you've got kids and you've got families, and like stuff happens where you can't complete a course, and so that's where that 3-year kind of grace period comes in, that you can put it on hold while you start that new job, or your kid is 6 months old or whatever, and come back to it the next year. But yeah, it's pretty high, and just also, like, if people aren't finishing, it's usually because they're not registering for the final course or the final 2 courses, and not because they're failing any of the courses. Just to clarify, if you do the work, even if it's late, and we try to be pretty flexible about that, you'll easily get a passing grade in the classes.
All right, transcripts. What if I was in a graduate program that I started strong but ended up failing out of due to the pandemic's effects? How do I explain my application? That's an awesome question. We don't look super closely at people's GPAs, so I would say don't worry about that a ton. And I would also say that that's a great thing to put in your personal statement. If there's any extenuating circumstances that you would like us to know about, definitely add that into your personal statement. Yeah, so if you've started and never finished a graduate program, we still encourage you to apply.
Yep, so long as you've got the undergraduate degree, you're going to be in good shape.
Is the program covered under the Western Regional Graduate Program? That is another question that I don't know the answer to actually, so please email me or us at earth.lab@colorado.edu and I can find the answer for you. Similar to the person that asked about the New Mexico tuition. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a really good question. So yeah, please give us an email. All right. Could this be a good stepping stone for acceptance to a full grad program? Totally, I think so.
Yeah, I really agree. And I wish, you know, the world doesn't do what I want. I wish more people would use it that way, just because I think it's an awesome skill set to be coming into graduate school with. And like, there's a lot of advisors out there be like thrilled to have someone who has like a demonstrable portfolio of like earth science related programming like accomplishments, I think. And we have had people do that in the past. We've also had people do the program concurrently with their grad program, as they're maybe completing some other coursework or something like that.
Great. Right, and would this lead into any specific grad programs at CU? Related question.
Yeah, so it's going to depend a lot. I guess I'm interpreting the lead into as like, would you get some credit for the courses, which can always be a little bit tricky, but I'm pretty sure that we have had especially the geography program, since that's the department that we're in, might be willing to give some credit for that. We'd have to ask them though. So if there's one that you're interested in, we should try to get in touch with the people there to check that. And in terms of just regular content, CU Boulder is an earth science powerhouse. I think you could take what you learn in this program and have a great like head start in geography and geology, in various civil and environmental engineering fields, in atmospheric engineering fields, and in the environmental sciences and evolutionary biology program. I think it would be applicable to any of those, and those are all amazing programs. So yeah.
Right, I think, was that it? Did we get them all? Nice.
Great.
I think it worked.
I think it worked. Great, so thank you.
Thanks so much to everybody for sticking around.
Yeah, thanks for joining
A
us.
few minutes over. So.
Please, again, email us earth.lab@colorado.edu with any questions, and applications are due August 8th. So yeah, thank you all. We hope to see your application soon.